Hello all. So I'm Dr. Teresa Bingi from IBS Bangalore, and I will be introducing you to this course, Managerial Economics. And what I propose to do today is to just give you a brief introduction of what you would be doing this semester, okay, in this course. So what does this Managerial Economics course entail at this PGPM level? So we'll begin by giving you the course summary, okay? So the aim of this course is to integrate microeconomic principles to management decision making using case study method extensively. So many of you would be from the BBA, BCom background, and you would already have done this paper in managerial economics, the theoretical aspect. Now we would be mapping it with reality using recommended case studies from ICMR, CDC, as well as other caselets wherever necessary, so that you will get the real world perspective. So that's the attempt here. So what do you hope to attain at the end of this course by studying this subject? So you will get an in-depth understanding of the basic theories, as well as how to analyze the behavior of various economic agents, including individuals and firms. That's what I mean by economic agents. And more importantly, it also aims at and emphasizes on the application part of microeconomic theories. So why do we call it managerial economics? Because you are applying microeconomic theories via case studies and use of other methods to management decision making. Moving over to the course content, we talk about introduction to economics, and as the very name suggests, we will just be introducing the basic concepts in economics like efficiency, scarcity, what are the definitions, and the major economic systems operating in the world, like the capitalist economy, the mixed economy, and the socialist economy, and how these economic systems address the issues of what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Okay? So this is what defines and categorizes them into different economic systems. Next, we move over to a very important aspect. In fact, you can call it the basis of managerial economics, namely the supply and demand analysis. So under demand analysis, we would be delving deep into what do you mean by law of demand, okay? And what are the exceptions to the law of demand? How do you draw the demand curve from a demand schedule? And more importantly, does this law of demand hold good in reality? So what is law of demand? Other things being equal, the price of a commodity and its quantity demanded are inversely proportional to each other. Okay. And when I say other things remaining constant, I mean the income factor, the tastes and preferences, etc., are held constant. So this is a very simplifying assumption. So what we would do here is apply this theory to reality using a particular product and analyzing it over a period of time. For example, the demand for gold over a period of time. Does it really follow the law of demand? And if it doesn't, it falls under the category of exceptions. Okay? And why these exceptions happen, or why do these exceptions occur? Supply will also be analyzed under following the similar lines. Now, in demand analysis, we will also be talking about a very integral part of elasticity, because this concept of elasticity, especially price elasticity, has direct implications on the revenue of a firm. Okay, so it is very helpful in deciding whether prices should be increased or decreased, and how much or to what extent it can be done. There are other concepts like income elasticity and cross elasticity, which would also help a lot in management decision making. Moving over to consumer behavior. Consumer behavior basically talks about the buying behavior of consumers analyzed from the microeconomic perspective using theories of utility analysis and indifference groups. So how do consumers react in a particular situation is analyzed using these microeconomic principles and also applied using case studies to see if these really hold good. A very integral part of managerial economics is production and cost analysis. And it's also very important for business firms. So what do we study under production? We basically deal with how to define a production function. What are the various factors of production that are involved here? What are the concepts in production that you would touch upon, like marginal product, average product? What do you mean by returns to scale? What do you mean by law of variable proportions? And how does a producer reach equilibrium given his cost constraints? So it would not be wrong to say that production and cost are mirror images, and both these topics are interlinked. So when we study costs, it is definitely linked to production. So we understand and categorize costs under different heads, like average cost, marginal cost, and study what are the implications of this. We move over to another very interesting topic in managerial economics, which all of you can well relate to, and that is markets. So almost all industries are classified under one of these four market forms, namely perfect competition, monopoly, and under imperfect competition, we have monopolistic competition and oligopoly. So the characteristics or the features differentiate these different market forms. But we are not going to only talk about the characteristics here in managerial economics. We're also going to study in depth how price and output is determined in each of these markets. And we're also going to give examples of a number of industries and how they can be classified under each of these market forms and how these industries have evolved over a period of time and changed their market structure. Probably it started as a monopoly and is now categorized under the market form monopolistic competition. So the transition process can also be studied here. Another very important chapter which we would be dealing with is pricing practices. So what are the widely used pricing practices prevalent? Markup pricing, premium pricing, etc. We would study that in detail when we come to it. Last but not the least, we talk about game theory, which actually falls under oligopolistic competition, wherein it is impossible to ignore the reactions of competitors and rivals when we are operating under conditions of risk and uncertainty. Especially this is applicable to business firms who simply cannot afford to ignore their rivals' reactions. They will have to, at some point of time, factor in all these reactions and take decisions accordingly. So not only being proactive, but also reacting to the decisions of your competitors and predicting them would prove beneficial for their business. Now, having said all this, let me give you the suggested textbook. We're going to follow Managerial Economics by Robert Pindick and Daniel Rubenfeld. The reason why this textbook was suggested is because it has a number of case studies or caselets which would support each of these topics. So you can very easily map all these microeconomic theories with the real world scenario using these caselets. Another widely used textbook is Paul Samuelson's Managerial Economics, which is also an accepted textbook and can be used. Now, as you all know that we are in a lockdown and therefore we would be relying heavily on online learning. So we would be integrating synchronous and asynchronous learning. So that is what we mean by this blended online learning. So what do you mean by synchronous learning? is basically a conventional form of learning, primarily the lecture method, which we would be using live sessions via Zoom application, and we would be giving the syllabus related topics through that. And also using basic Excel tools like pivot tables and other statistical functions wherever it is applicable. Now, this will be blended with or integrated with the use of Moodle enabled learning, okay, primarily referred to as quick course in ICFI. I'm sure you would be having access to that, okay. So using that, you can go to this course page or any course page of the subject you want to, and under the session plan, relevant videos, PPTs, etc. would be embedded for your study. Moreover, you'd also be conducting evaluations using the activity link available on Quick Course. The evaluations modes would include quiz, forum, assignment, etc. All of which are indicated clearly, or it will be displayed under the activity link. Besides, each of these live sessions will also be followed by an activity session to see if you can actually apply what you have studied in the live sessions using these activities. Example, forums where case studies can be analyzed. Now, we would move over to the use of Excel tools. Now, these Excel tools cannot be used for every session or every chapter, but wherever possible, I've tried to map the Excel tools which can be applied. So broadly, the topics are divided under demand analysis and forecasting, where you can use statistical functions like sales forecasting as a proxy for demand forecasting, and also regression to show the impact of select factors like income or price on demand based on the availability of data, of course. Moving over to cost and production, we would also use pivot tables to analyze data sets of companies' cost related information. So if you have secondary information of the company's costs from various reports, you can classify these under different heads like variable cost, fixed cost, sunk cost, etc. Moving over to markets, we would be definitely using recommended charts and graphs like pie charts, etc., to study different market forms and classify industries under different market structures. Last but not the least, we would be talking about the suggested or recommended cases. Understanding crude oil demand, Tesla in China, and can Starbucks sustain its high prices in China are ICMR CDC cases, very recent ones, which will be used or studied under demand analysis. In fact, Starbucks is a case which can be applied both for price elasticity to study that chapter as well as the chapter on pricing. Moving over to market structure, the cases would be the C factor, cement industry in India, unhealthy oligopoly and controls. And as the very name suggests, this relates to the topic of oligopoly under markets. Ambassador riches to rags, is competition the culprit, will also be studied under market structure. As you're all aware of Reliance Jio and its growing popularity, this is a case which studies the evolving market structures. Is this particular sector moving towards a monopoly form of market structure, is what we will be analyzing under this case. Having said all this, I really believe that any learning experience, even if it is blended online learning experience, which is very interesting, will be successful only if there is cooperation from your side. So I expect you to complete all the activities given to you after the sessions, as well as the evaluations on time, so that I will be sure that you are able to apply these topics. And without application, then it becomes very dry. So we have to apply, and that's what makes the difference here. So I hope you would cooperate with me, and I would really look forward to a participative and stimulating learning experience. Thank you. Now you are free to post your questions either in chat, or you can ask me these questions and I'll be happy to answer you. So So we'll have the Q&A or the question answer session now. Yes, definitely. I will be showing you, I will be sharing my screen with you and showing the Excel tools that how they can be used for each topic and how you will use the data available to produce the desired results, and how these tools can be applied. That will be demonstrated to you as and when the topic is dealt with. So definitely it will be done. Yeah. The timing of the evaluation will be clearly given to you. You can access it through your quick post. The activity itself will, when you go to the activity link, that will show you if it is an assignment, what date to what date you have to submit the assignment. If it is a quiz, from what time the quiz will be on, like from 10 to 10:30. So you have to finish your evaluations within the stipulated time, which will be indicated to you via quick post. And if you don't do it within that time, it will not accept your submissions after that. So well in advance, it will be indicated to you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.